The next category deals with curriculum management. One of the things that we think is important for you to develop is an electronic curriculum database that's searchable. It will provide you with the opportunity to be able to determine the content of your curriculum, to determine gaps in your curriculum, and to determine unplanned redundancies. And I know the students have been very helpful in pointing out some of those things, but it is much more valuable if you can find them before the students tell you about them. Initial efforts of curriculum integration began in 2007, and that integration has included a shift from discipline-specific to integrated systems modules. Some of the basic sciences have been fully integrated into those systems modules. As the curriculum revision continues, it will be important to more fully integrate all of the basic science content into those system modules. In terms of student assessment, which is the next category, the Faculty of Medicine is using a variety of methods for student assessment. Despite the addition of OSCEs and other methods of assessment, assessment at the Faculty of Medicine remains heavily dependent on multiple choice questions and other knowledge-focused methods. It's important to assure that assessment methods are appropriate to each of the learning domains. In particular, this may impact the effectiveness of self-directed learning, your self-directed learning program. And we have another section that will address the active learning a little bit later. At the present time, there's no comprehensive evaluation of student competence at the end of phase one that assures readiness to matriculate into phase two. When you design a curriculum, even if you have your curriculum database and you know the content, all you know is what you taught the students. It's important to be able to determine what the students learned. And it's helpful to do that at the end of phase one to assure that students have the knowledge and skills to be able to progress to phase two, and perhaps even do that at the end of phase two before progressing to the internship level. We've talked about potential sources for those evaluations. In North America, it's often the USMLE or an examination by the national board. It doesn't require an outside examination to do this, but some assessment should be done. In career counseling, and this is another area that was identified in the self-study, you started a new three-part program for career counseling, and you just need to monitor the effectiveness of that. The last area needing particular attention relates to policy dissemination. And we identified that you have institutional policies that are published in bylaws and in handbooks and are on the web, but it's not evident that the Faculty of Medicine assures that all faculty and students are aware of and are familiar with those policies. And that's always a difficult process. I'm sure that all of you have downloaded computer programs, and it asks you whether you read the end user licensing agreement, and you all click on yes and have not read the end user licensing agreement. It's the same phenomenon, but it is important to try and develop a system for that. We did identify some areas that we thought that you were not in full compliance with the standards but are more areas, again, that you know about and can be corrected. And they just, in summary, deal with how you monitor the kinds of patients that students are supposed to see on their various clinical rotations. The way your curriculum is designed and how you can promote the skills for lifelong learning. That it's difficult if you have a very lecture-heavy curriculum to have students learn how they need to learn after they graduate, because they won't be getting lectures for the rest of their lives, and they need to stay up to date with new medical knowledge, hopefully new medical knowledge that each one of you is generating. So that's an area that needs some attention. And one that's a more of a secretarial thing. You provide narrative feedback. You talk to students in their formative feedback. That material never makes it to their grade, or their final formative assessment, or their final narrative assessment never makes it to their grade. There were other areas that we identified that were not really, they were areas where you weren't in full compliance, but they really related to the fact that you have a different educational system. And I'm not going to go through all of those. The dean has those. The importance of that is it really represents why one country's accrediting body really can't accredit an institution in another country. You have a different system, and it's not fair to penalize you for your different system. Your system is fine. It's appropriate for the kingdom, but it's not appropriate or wouldn't meet the standards that might be used in North America. The final comment that I want to make is what our conclusions are. And we've provided the school with a certificate that has our conclusions. And what we say is that we are not empowered to represent the LCME, nor to confer accreditation. Nonetheless, it is the consensus of the consultants that King Abdulaziz University Faculty of Medicine has achieved substantial compliance with the standards used by the LCME to evaluate the medical education programs in North America. This would be comparable to the status of medical schools in the United States and Canada. My colleagues have some additional comments that relate to the process.
Thanks, Dr. Simon. I want to say that it's been an honor and a privilege to have had the opportunity to be invited to participate in this experience. I want to thank the dean and the staff who have been so helpful to us. But most of all, I really want to thank all of you, the leaders of the educational program, the students, the faculty, for your commitment to quality education. That's what this is all about. Accreditation is not about somebody else coming and tell you you're doing a good job. Accreditation really is your process of discovering who you are, what you want to be, and asking yourself the question, am I as good as I want to be? And if I'm not, how can I make myself better? When we went around, we were hosted by your students who are wonderful, and I have tickets for all of them to come back to New York with me. But one of the young men asked me one day, will we be accredited, and what are we going to get out of this whole process? So let me answer the second question first. In my opinion, I think what you've gotten out of this process, as I said to him, is what has already happened. You have gotten the benefit of what you've done. You've reflected in a serious way. You've asked serious questions. You've paid serious attention to the results. You didn't sweep them under the rug and decide that it wasn't a critical answer. You've looked at everything. Quite honestly, I don't think and I don't think Dr. Simon listed anything in his report to you that you don't already know about yourselves and have already in many areas started to work on. And I think that actually is the most important thing. As far as the first question, will you be accredited? Well, you've heard that that's not something we can actually do. But as I would echo, to end, I would echo Dr. Simon's point. If we had done an accreditation visit on a medical school in the United States and wrote this report, and it went to the LCME, it's my opinion that the LCME would say, accredited, fix the following problems, all right? Because no one gets 100. That's not what accreditation's about. So I really commend you for the work that you've done. I don't want to sound patronizing. I think that you don't need me to tell you how good a job you've done. It's even greater because you took the risk to ask a bunch of strangers to come and look at your house and see whether you actually cleaned it up very well. So good for you, and keep it up, and thank you for the chance to be part of this.
Okay. I'd also like to thank you for the time that you took in preparing for this, and the time that you took with us in helping us to better understand your institution. I get to talk about what you do from here going forward. I have a little experience with that. In the last 6 years, I've gone through this process at 3 different institutions 4 times in the last 6 years. And what I've found is we get to this stage right where you are now, and that everyone wants to just go, it's over. We don't have to do any more. True, in one sense, but not really. You know, the real important thing here to remember is that this is a continual process. And the real work now is to take what you've learned through this process and continue moving forward. I always tell everybody, the hard work wasn't doing this. The hard work is to move forward and do the rest of it. What you said you're going to do, now you have to do, right? And there are things that we've talked about in our report that continue to need further attention and effort. And I would echo what both of my colleagues have said. You're on your way in many of these things, but you want to keep, to use a term from a driving standpoint, you want to keep the pedal, your foot on the pedal, and driving as fast as you can and pushing hard to get done with what you need to get done and to continue doing that. I will argue with my other colleague that I think the students really want to come to South Florida, where I am. And some of them, I think, know that I agree with that. But yes, we would gladly have your students. They look like our students. We would like to have them. I mean, that's the way they are. But I do think you all have done a wonderful job. I would just encourage you to continue up with the hard work. The hard work is ahead of you. Take this momentum that you have, the stone that's rolling down the hill, and keep it rolling. And new things that you want to have, as we've discussed about before. That's what this is a continual process of quality improvement and growth as an institution. And to view this as part of the growth of your institution. And I want to thank you all again. We really enjoyed our time here.
On behalf of the faculty, members of the Faculty of Medicine, I would like to thank our surveyors for this excellent consultation and advice that they offered to us. And I should commend actually each member of this faculty who worked really hard to accomplish what we've accomplished. And on behalf of the president, the vice presidents, and the dean, I would like to thank each member of the faculty who joined the main task force or the subcommittees in this accreditation process, and helped us a lot to reach to this final conclusion that we've just received. But as Barry just said, it is actually the beginning of a lifelong commitment for quality improvement in this faculty. Thank you very much.